Hey there, welcome back to The Daily. This is Adriana. A real treat to be back here with you today as we continue to work with this theme of our month, which is courage. And over the past couple of days, of course, we've been working with this idea of courage and what a courageous act it is to simply be with ourselves, to be with our own direct experience. How it takes, a bit of courage to really work with our emotions and potentially even embrace our emotions rather than sort of strategizing our way out of them. The courage to just be with ourselves and our own direct experience. And of course, the courage of resting with our heart. Courage being this sort of will or volition that springs from the heart to take heart. And for today's practice, I wanted to speak to, in part, why it is such a courageous choice to just be with ourselves and be with our direct experience without filter and without filler. And I think this actually also speaks to one of the core misunderstandings of mindfulness. So I'm going to say something potentially pretty provocative, which is that mindfulness is not thoughtfulness, right? Mindfulness is not simply being thoughtful. And I think that the more popular mindfulness becomes, the more the two kind of get conflated. I remember very clearly around the holidays last year, doing my laundry at a laundromat in Queens, where there was like a morning show playing, and the host saying, be mindful of how many cookies you eat this holiday season. And I had this thought of like, that word might not mean what you think it is. Because we can be conscientious of how many cookies we eat. We can be sort of aware of how many cookies we eat. But the mechanism of mindfulness doesn't filter through the thinking mind. To be mindful is to drop into our direct experience without all of the kind of narrative that we tend to wrap around it, right? So it's the difference between, say, having a beautiful sunset in front of you and thinking about the sunset, shapes, colors, this reminds me of all of those other sunsets that I've experienced. Look at the composition of the sun against the back of the building. And, this reminds me of that painting that I've seen, and kind of like spinning this whole narrative around the sunset rather than simply just experiencing it. Feeling the warmth, taking in the colors, sharing in the movement of the sun as it goes down, and really just simply absorbing and experiencing directly the sun setting. So this is a major distinction, and I think that when it comes to the courage of simply being with ourselves and being with our direct experience, sometimes the thinking mind, the analytical mind, can serve as a little bit of a buffer, right? Because it can be scary or maybe perhaps a little intimidating to just simply rest with our direct experience. And so the thinking mind kicks up as a little bit of a buffer, as a little bit of a way of distancing ourselves from simply experiencing what's happening, where, we might launch into like judgment or analysis or analogy or strategy, thinking about the sun setting rather than actually just kind of trusting, to go back to that word, that we can simply be with it and experience it rather than needing to create this space from the experience. And I think really that's where the courage of our practice kicks in, is that we're kind of letting ourselves make direct contact, full contact with our experience, which, I think does take a bit of courage. And that's why we practice here in meditation, so that we might be more prepared to do that outside of this really kind of safe, neutral container of our meditation space. So let's do it. A little bit of full contact meditation, wherever we happen to be. Just taking a moment to decide on our seat. And as always, if we're seated on a chair or couch, just letting our feet be flat on the ground, making that direct contact with the steadiness of the earth. And then we'll take just a few moments, as always, to open our practice by opening our senses. And so shifting the attention over to sound. And again, rather than considering the sound or analyzing the sound, just allowing ourselves to make direct contact with the sounds of the space that we're in. And staying open to sound and shifting the attention to touch. And so simply feeling into our bodies as they rest here in space. That light pressure where the body makes contact. And taking in the texture of clothing on our skin. And temperature of the air. And so again in this space, I'm starting to switch gears a bit, becoming a bit more receptive and inclusive of what already is. It's our direct experience. Again, no need for narrative or buffer. Dropping into the feet. Just feeling the feet here. Texture, temperature. Feeling where the feet make contact. Tracing the attention across the shin bones. Circling the kneecaps. Grazing along the thighs. And landing in the hips. Moving the attention to the belly. The chest. Just taking a few moments here in the belly, the chest, barrel of the front body. And starting to establish contact with the body breathing. Very little effort needed here. Just feeling into the experience of body breathing. The vacillation of warm and cool air at the tip of the nose, the back of the throat. Perhaps feeling the rise and the fall of the belly with the breath. Again, just dropping into direct experience. It's the name of the game. And then wherever, however, the breath is most available in the body, most easily felt today, it's dropping our anchor of attention here, home base, the place that we return to. And we'll continue into practice. It's using that singular instruction that as the mind wanders, which it naturally will, we're just noticing when we've left our breathing, acknowledging what captures our attention, and then gently, firmly coming back to the breath in the body. So again, if we find ourselves drifting out, lost in thought, maybe hijacked by the narrative, no big deal. That's what the mind does. It's giving it a light touch of recognition and coming back to our direct experience, feeling the body here in space, breath inside the body, and just allowing ourselves to rest here. This is it. So again, there's this real sense of staying somewhat open and porous, penetrable, like a puppy rolling over to expose its belly to the world. And there's this real sense of just full contact. Whatever it is that's honestly arising, just allowing it to enter through the front door, pass on through, and leave without a fight. And of course, when we encounter something particularly sticky, follow it right out the back door, no big deal. And that tiny gap of recognition, just acknowledging where we've landed and feeling the body breathe. Again, that release and return. So as always, just a bit of encouragement here to keep our senses open. Just continuing to come back to our senses in a very literal way. Feeling the temperature of the air against our skin. The texture of clothing on our body. Feeling the shape that the body makes. The weight against the chair, the floor. Feeling the vacillation of breath as it moves in the body. And again, just allowing ourselves to rest here. Can I let this moment fully register? Just this. And again, ushering the attention back, just continuing to relocate ourselves here in space through our senses, weight of the body, temperature of air, vacillation of breath in the body, and just resting here, staying open, staying watchful, and allowing the narrative to relax. Again, just this. And then as you're ready, it's closing practice by reconnecting to what it is that brought you here. Why yes, why practice, why today. So offering ourselves a little bit of thanks, maybe a kind word, a bit of warmth or credit for taking the time, making the space, and working with our minds in this way. And then as you're ready, just allowing formal practice to drop and coming back in together at your own pace, no rush. Thank you. Thank you for practice. Thank you for practice. Thanks for continuing to practice staying open to our experience, dropping some of the armor, maybe dropping some of the expectations, and really courageously meeting this moment as it is directly. It's a beautiful thing. It takes work. It's a beautiful thing. All right, have a wonderful day. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.